I want to talk about wealth creation and what wealth creation really can achieve, and maybe take in a slightly different direction, because I believe the world, and particularly the Judeo-Christian West, is in a crisis. And it's really the organizing principle of how we built Breitbart News to really be a platform to bring news and information to people throughout the world, principally in the West, but we're expanding internationally, to let people understand the depths of this crisis. And it is a crisis both of capitalism, but really of the underpinnings of the Judeo-Christian West in our beliefs. It's ironic, I think, that we're talking today at exactly tomorrow, 100 years ago, at the exact moment we're talking, the assassination took place in Sarajevo of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, that led to the really the end of the Victorian era and the beginning of the bloodiest century in mankind's history. Just to put it in perspective, with the assassination that took place 100 years ago tomorrow in Sarajevo, the world was at total peace. There was trade, there was globalization, there was technological transfer. The High Church of England and the Catholic Church and the Christian faith was predominant throughout Europe of practicing Christians. 7 weeks later, I think there were 5 million men in uniform, and within 30 days there were over 1 million casualties. That war triggered a century of barbarity, unparalleled in mankind's history. You know, virtually 180 to 200 million people were killed in the 20th century. And I believe that, you know, hundreds of years from now, when they look back, and we are children of that barbarity, that this will be looked at as almost a new dark age. But the thing that got us out of that, the organizing principle and the mechanism, was just not the heroism of our people, whether it was French resistance fighters, whether it was Polish resistance fighters, whether it's young men from Kansas City or the Midwest that stormed the beaches of Normandy, the men of England that fought in the Royal Air Force, all the people that fought in this great war of really the Judeo-Christian West versus atheism, right? The underlying principle was an enlightened form of capitalism. That capitalism really gave us the wherewithal to kind of organize, to build the materials that needed to support, whether it's the Soviet Union, England, the United States, and eventually to take back continental Europe and then to beat back a barbaric empire in the Far East. That capitalism really generated a tremendous wealth, and that wealth was really distributed among a middle class, a rising middle class. People would come from really working class environments, and created really what we call a Pax Americana, but it was a many years and decades of peace. And I believe that we've come horribly off track in the years since the fall of the Soviet Union, and we're starting now in the 21st century, which I believe strongly is a crisis both of our church, a crisis of our faith, a crisis of the West, and a crisis of capitalism. We're at the very beginning stages of a very brutal and bloody conflict, of which if the people in this room and the people in the church do not bind together and really form what I feel is an aspect of the church militant, to really be able to not just stand with our beliefs, but to fight for our beliefs against this new barbarity that's starting, that we will literally eradicate everything that we've been bequeathed over the last 2,000 to 2,500 years.